Oh, hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Year 7 History, investigating the ancient past, a history mystery. Now, this is a brief supplementary digital lesson for Kim Phelps, using the context of a historical investigation to develop a deeper understanding about the role of evidence in determining the past. If you are not Kim Phelps, don't click away, stay tuned, as I'm sure you might just learn a little bit about history yourself. I'll see you on the next slide. What you can see before you is our advanced organizer for this lesson, basically an outline of what we'll be going over first. We will redefine our history mystery, the Bonkuklu Hayuku archaeological site in Turkey, moving on to why we investigate history, sources, both primary and secondary evidence. Then we'll explore how to question those sources. Now, internet sources are fantastic, so I'll go into a little detail about them and how to categorize them using some interesting strategies. Concluding, we'll go over Kim's Lesson 4 formative assessment, and I'll be providing some handy feedback on what you can implement for your Lesson 5 presentation. Bonkuluklu Hayuku. Ho, that's fun to pronounce. Bonkuku Hayuku is the site of a 10,500-year-old village near the city of Konya in the high Anatolian plateau of central Turkey. Bonkuklu contains evidence of mud brick houses, which are the remains of one of the oldest villages in the world, dating to 8,500 BC. Now, Kim, thank you. This is a great history mystery that I was completely unaware of. However, your definition of the mystery, why did the house fall down and where did the people go, from your work sample is a bit vague. So with correct historical terms, I suggest implementing the archaeological investigation of the 10,500-year-old Bonkuklu Hayuku village. Now let's have a look at some investigation taking place. Hey, have you heard about history? I beg your pardon? What's that? Did someone say history? Oh my goodness, history! I love history! Wow, there's so much going on! History, history, history! Oh, well done, guys. Oh, my sides are almost split. Now, as you can see, investigating history can be a lot of fun. Okay, back on track. Now, sources and evidence. Now, the evidence from the sources is what we use in our historical investigations. Now, there's two main types of sources, primary and secondary. Now, let's go over them in the next slide. Ding, ding, dong, dong, dong. Oh, I love that song. Now, we just saw some exciting archaeological sources and some examples of historical evidence. Remember, a source contains important historical information. These sources are something that can inform us about our history at the most basic level. And evidence is something we use to prove or substantiate our findings. It is an outward sign, an indication of what has transpired. Historical evidence can take a variety of forms. Among the most important types of historical evidence are primary sources. Primary sources consist of original documents, artifacts, or other pieces of information that were created at the time under investigation. A primary source is a document or record which contains first-hand information or original data on a topic. Primary sources are often created at the time of the event, but can also be recorded later. Primary sources provide insights into how people view their world at a particular time. A secondary source is any published or unpublished work that is one step removed from the original source or event under review. A secondary source usually describes, summarizes, analyzes, evaluates, interprets, or reviews primary source material. Historians use evidence from sources to answer questions. Now we must question our sources to choose important, trustworthy evidence. Some information turns out to be false. Take, for example, like the mummy's curse. Many thought it killed archaeologists entering King Tutankhamun's tomb. However, records prove the archaeologist involved lived to an average age of 70 years old. Some historians arrive at different conclusions, using the same facts. For example, the building of Stonehenge in the UK around 3000 BC. Early theories claimed the temple was built for priests. Later experts realized it was finished before priests lived in the area. Today, some historians think builders were sun worshippers or ancient aliens. Others think we'll never know its true purpose. So, in the research process, we need to identify information, locate that information, and record the relevant information. So for Bonkukuyu Hayuku in Turkey, I need you, Kim, to be able to compile a list of different sources by using the World Wide Web. And one of my good friends, Google. You can do this. Use key archaeological terms as your searches. Look at the results from reputable sites. Similar to how you use the National Geographic magazine in your assessment. In that source, there was an abundance of information you can identify, which can be used as evidence to support your interpretation of the historical mystery. See how it all comes together. Remember, on this journey there can be many historical interpretations. That's why we use the historical inquiry process, asking these questions. Who, when, why, what? For example, what does finding ancient tools at the Bonkuklu Hayuku site tell us? Now, difficulties arise in determining the origins and purpose of some sources. If you look to your right, you will see some archaeologists at work. Then, if you look up and to the right, you'll see what they thought the purpose of their evidence was. Don't forget to differentiate between primary and secondary sources. A secondary source is the interpretations based on the primary source. One of the handy methods I like to use is creating categories to organize this information. Take a moment now to organize some of the information you have obtained from your wide range of sources. Okay, welcome back. If you only have limited evidence like these guys to my left, don't forget, you can still make some fascinating insights into a society. But be wary, is it a fact or an opinion? The language used will give it away. Ancient tools found at the site is a fact. Ancient tools were found at the site. These tools could have been used to hunt wildebeests in the jungle. Is an opinion. Could have been. Word choices are the key. Okay, moving on. So, how do we recreate and show the specific features of a historic mystery location? A great way is what you're about to embark upon for the next lesson, Kim. Creating an audio-visual multimodal form of communication. Similar to this teaching presentation, you will use the sources you have discovered, organize the information they contain, and then present it in an exciting, engaging manner. To do this, let's take a look at your Lesson 4 formative assessment task. I've just performed a detailed evaluation of your Lesson 4 formative assessment, analysing and using sources. There are some good aspects here, well done, and some areas that can be tweaked, tuned and adapted to provide high scoring task-specific valued features as per the assessment matrix. Firstly, as mentioned earlier, we need to identify a history mystery and explain different interpretations with links to evidence. As mentioned on slide 3 of the stimulating supplementary flipped classroom digital lesson, I would suggest redefining the historical mystery to the archaeological investigation of the 10,500-year-old Bankuku Hauku village. In your work sample, it mentioned that the village was 4,000 years old. Take care, Kim, when recording historical dates, as there is quite a variance between 10,500 and 4,000 years. This is an area where your focal inquiry question can be adapted as well. As you mentioned, 4,000 years once again. The focal inquiry question addresses the housing and the location of the inhabitants. This is good. You are on the right track. But again, take care to word it correctly, utilizing correct historical terminology to set yourself up for success. Different interpretations are also required. I like the sources you provided. However, finding alternative interpretations is a great historical tool. As we mentioned earlier, analyzing evidence can create a number of alternative viewpoints. Great use of the Scottish Orkney Islands as a reference similar to ancient cultures. This provides a similar form of evidence that you can use to help answer questions related to the origin and purpose of this ancient society. Again, as mentioned earlier, the National Geographic source is fantastic with an abundance of information. Now, with these sources, you need to ask interrelated questions and analyze the information. You have the sources here, Kim. You just require a bit of fine-tuning to answer your focal inquiry question and present the information. Think of it as baking a cake. You have all the ingredients. You just need to mix them all together in the right order. You can do it. I'll tell you how in the next slide. To begin developing your presentation, first know your historical mystery, the Bankuku Hauku Archaeological Investigation. Propose your focal inquiry question. Present your information concisely, engaging interesting evidence from primary and secondary sources as information. The assessment strategy used to judge your declarative and procedural knowledge will require evidence. Prior to Lesson 5, we will need to see in our formative assessment your declarative knowledge in the form of work sample demonstrating a knowledge of historical source and evidence investigation, collection, evaluation. Graphic organizer categorizing a range of factual archaeological sources. Afterwards, following your presentation, we will judge your procedural knowledge by your capacity to develop a multimodal response to a history mystery, capacity to deliver a presentation of a multimodal response to a history mystery. From these two forms of assessment, you will be provided oral and written feedback from a criterion reference standards framework. You now have all the ingredients, Kim, for the conclusive chapter in your historical mystery investigation. Our time is almost up, Kim. However, you are reaching the peak of this assessment task. Soon you will deliver a multimodal presentation to propose a solution to your mystery based on evidence. As we've just gone over in this presentation, locate your sources, primary and secondary. Question these sources, looking for evidence. Search the web, Google, YouTube, find out as much information as you can. Look for opposing viewpoints. Origins and purpose are the key. Remember the language. Is it a fact or an opinion? You will come up with your own strategies and categorization methods, proposing interrelated questions. I've not copyrighted this presentation, so feel free to steal my ideas. YouTube, videos, information, it is all at your disposal, Kim. Now go off and bake that cake. Good luck to you, my fellow historical investigation soldier. Well done and good luck on your investigation. I salute you.